The referee that gave Caitlin Clark a technical, exposed.
Just quickly communicated that obviously there was what the ref interpreted was not actually the case of what happened.
A jaw-dropping controversy just rocked the sporting world, leaving fans stunned, as the entire basketball community erupted into an absolute frenzy over a stunning last-minute twist that completely flipped the script on what appeared to be a deliberate targeting of a star franchise player. If you already believe professional sports officiating had hit peak theatrical madness, brace yourself, because this latest firestorm surrounding the Indiana Fever, the WNBA league office, and a fiercely contested referee call has pushed things somewhere nobody expected. Imagine the chaotic moment playing out live on the hardwood during a high-stakes, hard-fought clash between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, with Caitlin Clark driving hard along the baseline, battling through relentless defensive pressure from Natasha Cloud, then losing her footing entirely and crashing into a baseline official by accident, with officials later claiming there was additional contact from Caitlin's forearm as they broke it down. Under any typical basketball logic, where players go flying out of bounds and incidental collisions happen dozens of times a night without ever drawing a whistle out of spite, this should have simply been waved off. But instead of letting play continue naturally, the referee snapped for her pocket, blew the whistle with striking intensity, and accused Clark of deliberately shoving her forearm into the official, sparking outrage that hasn't died down since.
For accidentally bumping into an official after getting pushed out of bounds when her momentum is carrying her in the referee's direction. Referee sees her coming instead of moving out the way, leans into it, gets bumped, sits there for a second, says, "Nah, I really don't like Caitlin Clark." Tease her up.
Instant fury swept through the arena and lit up every corner of social media, driven by the brutal fallout tied directly to that one whistle. Because under the league's tough disciplinary rulebook, that moment marked Clark's 8th technical foul of the regular season, and according to the guidelines governing these athletes, reaching 8 technical fouls automatically triggers a mandatory 1-game suspension along with a steep financial penalty, meaning the Fever's franchise star now found herself staring down a forced absence that would keep her sidelined for a massive showdown against Breanna Stewart and the New York Liberty, a blow no one saw coming.
Caitlin Clark, who accidentally bumped into an official, gets called for a technical foul. Then we have Natasha Cloud, part of the Black Lesbian Mafia, grabbing this official by the hips. Maybe that's why she didn't call it that. She likes getting grabbed by the hips by Natasha Cloud. I don't know. Gets grabbed by the hips from Natasha Cloud. Natasha Cloud tries to push her and move her out the way so she can argue with an Indiana Fever player. Absolutely no technical foul. If that's not a double standard, I don't know what is.
Within minutes, the internet was ablaze as fans, analysts, and former players quickly recognized how serious this moment actually was, sparking heated arguments everywhere and highlighting the glaring inconsistency of punishing a player who simply lost her balance during an accidental collision, when comparable contact routinely slides by unnoticed in games across the league. Fever head coach Stephanie White made no effort to mask her irritation at the post-game press conference, calling the ruling a poor decision rooted in a total lack of situational awareness, while Clark herself stayed composed, telling reporters she had already gone back and watched the replay several times and was confident the contact was completely unintentional, with not a single word exchanged between them. What pushed this story into even wilder territory was the wave of online investigating that kicked off within moments of the final horn, as fans and independent sleuths started digging through public records to pinpoint exactly which officiating crew made the disputed call, sending certain names surging across social media as supporters combed through past games, pored over referee assignment sheets, and circulated sharp, high-resolution freeze frames of the collision, quickly turning the conversation from a simple missed call into a much bigger reckoning around accountability, with thousands calling on the league office to come clean about how officials are graded and whether hidden bias shapes the way games get called, a question that still lingers.
ESPN called up Adam Silver themselves, like, "Adam, you out your fucking mind with this dumbass referee suspending CC? Are you out your dumb mind with this foolish referee suspending CC?"
Where every play, every reaction, and every second of professional sports gets picked apart under a microscope, staying quiet is simply not a choice league executives can afford anymore. And the public frustration boiled over because fans didn't see this as one isolated slip-up, but rather as further proof of a troubling pattern where the league's biggest star seems to face a completely different standard than veterans and rivals across the conference. Tension kept building as sports talk shows, podcasts, and online creators spent hour after hour breaking down what an 8 technical suspension really meant for a player who carries so much of the league's commercial spotlight on her shoulders. With viewership, ticket sales, and merchandise revenue across the WNBA climbing to record-breaking levels, largely fueled by a wave of new fans tuning in specifically to watch Caitlin Clark run the Fever offense, the idea of sidelining the league's biggest draw over an accidental brush with a referee felt, to millions watching, like a massive unforced error from a league already stretched thin trying to manage its own rapid rise. Analysts noted that growing pains are expected as a league shifts from a smaller regional following into a full-blown global spotlight, but letting inconsistent officiating undermine the integrity of the game's risks, pushing away the very audience the league worked decades to build. Then, right as the story seemed fully set and the internet braced for days of ongoing fallout, everything flipped almost overnight, catching the entire sports media world completely off guard when the WNBA office announced it had reviewed the play and fully overturned the technical foul, instantly erasing the 8th technical from the record, canceling the looming suspension, and clearing Clark to play against New York. And while the league deserves some credit for acting fast to correct an obvious misstep before it disrupted a marquee matchup, that swift reversal did little to calm a fan base already worn down by nonstop officiating controversies, and instead sparked a fresh round of debate over why the intervention was even necessary in the first place and what it says about the league's internal review process, with critics questioning why something as clearly incidental as this needed a full-blown public firestorm before executives stepped in to fix it, arguing that if the footage was convincing enough to justify an overturn just hours later, the officials on the court should have had the awareness in the moment to recognize the collision was accidental rather than escalating it into a technical foul, a gap that exposed a widening disconnect between the referees calling the game and the league's leadership trying to protect both competitive fairness and fan trust, all set against the larger economic and cultural stakes riding on every single game. Right now, everywhere the Indiana Fever go, arenas are selling out completely. Opposing teams are shifting to bigger venues just to keep up with the overwhelming ticket demand, and television ratings keep smashing records across virtually every major sports network, meaning that in this kind of high-stakes environment, every single whistle carries enormous financial weight for broadcast partners, sponsors, and franchise value alike. So when an official makes a call that feels out of step with standard basketball logic, it immediately fuels speculation and conspiracy theories among fans who are already wary of institutional fairness, and the league simply cannot afford to have its product seen as anything less than fully legitimate, which is exactly why that original 8th technical foul stood out as an avoidable disaster that pushed the patience of the entire basketball world to its limit. Now, as the dust settles on this turbulent chapter and Caitlin Clark gets ready to guide her team through the demanding stretch of games ahead, all eyes remain locked on the officiating department, with players, coaches, and fans alike calling for clear, consistent guidelines on how technical fouls get assessed, especially around incidental contact, emotional reactions, and normal physical play during intense moments. And while the quick reversal of the penalty showed that the league is paying attention and willing to fix a glaring mistake, it also underscored just how badly proactive reform is needed instead of reactive cleanup, until officiating across the board reflects a steady, fair, and professional standard that isn't swayed by frustration or reputation, because the shadow of this controversy will keep following every possession in the WNBA. And the consequences of this whole episode reach well beyond a single game or one player's technical count, since fans who pour their money into season tickets, streaming plans, and official gear expect, reasonably, that the game will be called with fairness, precision, and true neutrality. And every time a referee becomes part of the story through questionable technical fouls or an overly quick whistle, it wears down the trust between the league and the people supporting it, a trust that matters just as much here as it does everywhere else in sports. from the NBA down to college basketball, where protecting the integrity of competition remains essential. And when that integrity feels shaken by perceived incompetence or inconsistent enforcement, the backlash tends to hit fast, hit hard, and linger, ultimately threatening the sport's long-term momentum. Not to mention the very real mental strain placed on elite athletes performing under this level of scrutiny, since Caitlin Clark has dealt with an extraordinary amount of physical attention, defensive game planning, and media focus from the very start of her professional career. And while it's natural for opponents to test a generational rookie through physical, hard-nosed defense, there's still a meaningful line between tough competitive play and officiating that unfairly targets how a player moves, reacts, or carries herself on the court. Because when ordinary basketball instincts, like chasing down a loose ball or fighting to stay balanced near the sideline, end up punished with suspension-worthy technical fouls, it forces athletes to hesitate and second-guess themselves in exactly the moments that demand total confidence. Sports media's role in blowing up moments like this has transformed dramatically over just the last few years, and where a controversial referee decision used to spark maybe a short segment on morning shows and a handful of newspaper columns before quietly fading away by the next game. Today, digital platforms, fan communities, and independent analysts break down every single frame of footage within minutes of the final buzzer, examining multiple camera angles in slow motion, tracking referee patterns in publicly shared databases, and watching accountability movements form organically online. And this new level of transparency means officiating crews simply can't operate quietly in the background anymore, since every call now gets recorded, dissected, and judged by millions of engaged fans who expect nothing short of excellence from the people trusted to run the game. Looking ahead, WNBA leadership finds itself at a pivotal moment in deciding how to manage its officials and respond to growing concerns about consistency, and putting real training programs in place, building transparent review systems, and holding referees accountable for clear errors are all necessary steps toward rebuilding full trust in the league's competitive fairness. And to be clear, fans aren't expecting flawless officiating, since basketball moves incredibly fast and asks human referees to make split-second calls in real time. But what they are asking for, and what the sport genuinely needs, is a consistent standard where the same rules apply to every player equally, no matter their star power, rookie status, or the storyline surrounding them. And as the playoff race heats up, and every win starts to matter even more for postseason positioning, there's almost no room left for mistakes from either players or officials, with the Fever fully aware that every opponent will bring their best night after night, requiring mental resilience, smart in-game adjustments, and sharp focus to push through, while at the same time the officiating crews stepping onto the floor need to rise to that same standard, helping deliver a fair and exciting contest instead of becoming the story everyone's talking about afterward. And although the swift correction of this technical foul proved the system is capable of fixing itself under pressure, the real goal going forward has to be getting the call right the first time, especially when the stakes are highest and the outcome hangs in the balance. So if you don't want to miss how this storyline unfolds, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know what happens next.